Okay, I'm going to try and share my screen. uh, and of course, I came with a little presentation. So I'm going to try and move through it very quickly. But please, Kathy, are you monitoring? Can you do the question piece of it for me? Chat?
Sure. Yep.
Awesome. Okay. If you were at the meeting this morning, you know that I recognized our ADSOs, Jen Petravka, Barry Andrews, Dora, who's with us, and Mark Johnson, who is going to be with us. I don't know whether he's here or not.
I'm aboard, Sue.
Oh, awesome, Mark. Thanks for being here, and thank you, Dora. Okay, we're going to talk, if I can make this work, a little bit about the good news, the bad news, a couple things I have to share with you. I'm going to go as quickly as possible so that there is time for questions, but please ask questions along the way. You can use the chat, raise your hand, yell at me. I really don't care. So the good news is members are using our system. They're entering activity logs. They are checking their qualification processes. I want to show you something about that today that I think you're going to love. Certainly Dora, Mark, and I do. And they're checking somewhat for their overall activity. The bad news is, or the good news or an opportunity, is our members need training on entering their activities, specifically on operation codes, mission codes, how to request approvals, and how to check their training progress. And what we will be doing is letting you know right now, if you have a group of members, and it's anything from 1 or 2 and up, who would like to have some training on using Oxdata 2 just to enter their stuff, enter their mission hours and so forth, let us know. Okay, the email me forms, whoa, I'm going fast, are located on the district webpage under member resources. If you go down to the HR area, you will see what I have a picture of right there, the NCR qualification notification form. I have a couple things to share with you on this. It pops up. It knows who you are. You get to put the member's name, the member's number, what you're trying to get accomplished for them. Many of our flotilla commanders are doing an excellent job of this. Some still think it's just much more fun to email me directly. And I would say I really like to have you use the email me form because it goes to a different email where the requests are far less likely to get lost in the hundreds of emails that I seem to get on a daily basis. So when to use this form? For new qualifications. And here's the deal. All new qualifications come to me via the email me form system, except Aux-Air, new qualifications, and surface operations, new qualifications. So send me TCO and everything else related to, for example, culinary assistance, anything you know about PA, whatever it is, send it to me so that I can check the system. Some things I'm allowed to enter directly, mostly the RBS stuff. Some things I send up to Dyrox and either they enter or they get back to me to enter. It's kind of a symbiotic dance that we do. Ralph likes to enter some things. The OTO has me enter others. It's kind of crazy, but it seems to work. We have had very little complaint over people whose qualifications aren't entered. We are seeing one glitch in the system right now, and that is that members seem to be going into re-year for some qualifications where the PQS hasn't been entered. Now, we've never entered PQSs before, so this is new. Sure enough, a member will go into re-year, and I'm going to call out wonderful Jean Archer, who's been teaching OCCA for years. She was qualified by Diane back in the day, and she popped up in re-year for CA instructor only because never along the way had anybody entered her PQS. Well, we couldn't. We didn't have a place to click for that. So now we are seeing members go into re-year. It's okay. Send us notification. We don't know why this person is in re-year. Can you please check? Blah, blah. We'll take care of that. So the other things are REYR. If a member goes into rework, remember that if a member goes into rework for lack of taking a workshop, they don't automatically come out. The flotilla commander has to send an email me form to say, please know that this member took the workshop, get them out of re-year for me, so that, or out of rework, so they don't go into re-year. There are reports available that we probably won't have time to show you, but it's really neat. If you go into the report system, click on quick reports, there are actually workshop trackers, and you can put in your units and you can see exactly on all of the different workshops who's taken them, and maybe more importantly, who hasn't. Okay, responsibility of your flotilla commanders is to check the qualification area that I'm going to show you, confirm the information that you are sending me to the best of your ability, because here's the situation. Once a member goes into re-year, we have to check everything before we can take them out. And for surface and air operations, we check them first, then we send it up to the OTO, who kindly seems to think we know what we're doing. He does a quick check, sends it back, and we take them out. So you can expect results to happen within a week, but please remember that a failure of your members to plan ahead does not constitute an emergency on our part. If I'm on vacation or not available to the internet, which up in the Voyageurs National Park is the case, it sometimes takes a little longer. So patience is appreciated. Okay. Credential checking. This is great. If we have time at the end, I'll show you how to get here. But the way this works is on the right-hand side of the member qualification area for a member, it lists in yellow, red, and green what is currently required. So green means one time only, you're good to go, nothing to worry about in the next 6 months. Yellow suggests that this is a coxswain. So this is current year only. So our coxswain in this screenshot, and I don't know, I think it could be me, I'm not sure, means I haven't yet met my hours required of 12. I haven't sent in and had recorded my annual night hours, my annual tasks, or my annual day tasks. Those are all what I qualify as in progress. If I hadn't done it last year, one of them would show up as red. Go ahead.
How did you get to how did you get to the tasks?
Okay.
The task that you're showing us, how do you find that?
That's a really good question. So I'm going to have to log in, which I haven't done, but that only takes me a moment. Okie doke. Let's go to me because I don't have any secrets. When you go into learn about what an individual has done in the auxiliary, you click on their name and it takes you to the screen you're looking at right now. When you get to this is called the home screen, and there are a couple of interesting things on this one. One of them is the uniform inspection area. We have to manually enter every member's uniform inspection. That's a manual thing. Flotilla officers, division officers, elected, I'm saying, district officers may enter that information. and all SOs. SOISs can do that too. So that's an important piece given the way the uniform thing is unfolding this year. Okay, so this information gives you the opportunity to go to related. And here's the meat of the thing right here. Okay. You'll notice we've got status changes. This is when you go from AP to BQ to AX2 and so forth. Member activities. This is a list of every activity that the member has done and recorded in Oxdata throughout time, actually. And I want to show you one little interesting thing here. In order to see everything, you have to go to View All. Okay? And here you can see this little tiny arrow right next to the word duration. You can sort by duration. The little tiny arrow you can sort by starting in 2007. Okay? I became a member in 2006. Okay, so pay attention to that and remember that you need to click on View All. Now I've got to go back. Okay, we're on Related. So how did I get to these competencies? It's right here. I'm going to click on View All just to demonstrate that again. And find... Anybody see my, there it is. Okay, so I click on this is the member competency number right here, far left side. Okay, now you'll notice here I've entered superseded by higher competency for boat crew, and then entered boat crew coxswain. If we have members who want to go from coxswain back down to boat crew, this allows me to go in and change that status. And I'll show you how that works if we go in here. Okay, so here we are. This is Sue. These are the tasks that I have not completed for this year. Okay? These are the things I have completed. So I'm good on my risk management. If I view all, it's going to show absolutely everything that I had to do to become a coxswain and stay current. Interestingly enough, notice on my NAV rules currency, it tells me that I last took the NAV rules because I live in fear of having them expire early on the 12th of January this year, which means I'm good until the 12th of January 2029. Keep in mind that there is no end of the year on NAV rules, like there is with core training, which goes until the end of the year. Okay, so that's how you find it. How do I do things in here? When I am notified that I can change this, again, for air or surface ops, I can go right in here and select a different status. Here's where that superseded by a higher competency is. Here's where the system puts people into rework on like 2 July. Remember, you have to send me an email me form to get a person to have this information changed. I never do it without an email me form. And then I put in the date that it's assigned. And notice that I see that it's night certified. Don't worry about this. This basically is involved with how many tasks are listed over here. So you don't need to worry about that. Also, you can actually see the history of your members' situation. Did they go into rework? Did they go into re-year? And so forth. Hopefully that answered the question. I'll run it by you one more time because sometimes this stuff is hard to remember. So you click on the member.
This is great stuff. Thank you, Sue. This is great.
Absolutely. You click on the member, you click on related, scroll down to competencies, and there's so much good stuff here. Let me give you one more hint. If you look in the member task area, that's going to show when each task is entered. And I'll segue right now. Keep in mind that SOs and above may enter tasks only. Remember that. SOs and above are the only ones who can enter tasks. Members may not, instructors may not. It has to be put in by the SOIS or one of our ADSOs or me, and you want to make sure that there's a little check mark here. Sometimes that doesn't happen. I really have no idea why not. And then what I have to do is, keeping in mind that these little numbers, remember we had the member competency number, here we have the task member record number. If I click on that, I can dig deep and I can see if the task box was not completed. I have the authority to edit that and put the check mark in. One of the things that we know is that the system is hopefully designed to keep people's records straight. So let me go back to the related as long as we're in here. And it show you what it shows you. Every member should know about this. Every member should know about themselves. Here are my activities for the year. Did my thing get in? I don't know. Did they put that in? Here's where you can check it. Competencies. All my competencies are here. Member tasks. This goes back to 2007 as well. Clearly, we don't want to look that far back. You can look at, let's say you've decided that you want to get a new ribbon bar. You can come right into this awards section, view all, and it's going to show you every award, and you can see that. Let me see. Some Commodore complained that there were no notes on these awards going back in time, and she asked to have that changed. So nowadays, going forward, when I enter awards, I put in what it's for. For example, when I enter the A clock that we announced this morning for Dan Collins, I will put it in, and it will say for service at Port Huron Galley or something like that, so that he knows and we all know what that award was for. There's so much to this. 20 minutes is going to be a hard go here, Kathy, but we're working on it. So anyway, you can find out when you've crewed and what boat you crewed on, what they have of record that you own, and here's a quickie for you. Under facility ownership, if it shows that you own a boat that you don't own or that you never owned, the likelihood is that the coxswain of that boat put you in as a boat driver, as a coxswain. And you'll see that that's happened to me a fair number of times. Okay.
Hey, Sue, we've got
Yep.
two hands up.
Yeah,
First one is Commodore Villeneuve.
sir.
So is there something in the works to allow, for example, the ability to print from, we'll use the awards window as a good example, to print from that window to a PDF so it captures everything under that heading as opposed to scrolling the window, print the window, scroll the window some more, print it again, scroll it some more, print it again?
Not to my knowledge. And that's another piece of it. When there's a thing called lists, and I love using lists. For example, I can create a list that shows everyone who has joined the auxiliary in 9th Central since 1 January 2024, or between 1 January 2023 and December 31st, 2024. Those lists cannot be shared, and I don't know, I think they can be printed, but what you're asking for, no. Okay, next question.
Yep.
Mine,
The next one is Ron Blaisdell. Oh no, I was the sorry. Ron Parzak is the next.
no
Hey,
problem.
Ray,
Just a quickie. How far back do the awards go? All the way back to
Yep.
a member's joining.
2002.
That's it.
It, yeah, it
Okay.
combines, Oxdata 2 rolled information over from Oxdata. It did not roll information over from, I think it was OxMIS.
Okay.
So it only goes back to I believe, 2002. Next
Right.
question.
That's Ron Blaisdell is next.
Hey, Ron.
Commodore Thurlow, how you doing today?
Good.
The question for you about annual service awards, since none of that was covered today. I keep getting asked when the 2023 service awards are going to be released by members of our division.
As
Actually,
was stated at the awards presentation, we're going to present those in the fall, so I suspect we'll get the certs out then, unless there's something else planned, Sue.
Commodore, they will be entered into Oxdata probably within a week or two. I have them. I have the list. Let me put it that way. I have the operations, air, RBS, the 5-year awards. So every 5 years you get one. All of those will be entered. Actually, I think the 5-year awards are already entered. We do those. That's rather labor intensive, and Jen and I split that up, and we've got a pretty good system. So look for those in Oxdata shortly. Look for the certificates at the fall conference, as Commodore Villeneuve has stated.
I wanted to
Okay.
jump in here. It was my understanding that the DIROC's office would print out awards quarterly, so that the annual service performance awards would come out in that first quarter batch of awards run at the DIROC's office.
Well, my experience, I hate to say this too loud, but my experience is that those seem to kind of get lost in the shuffle. So I think we need to have a conversation with Ralph on that again, particularly since they are one man down in the office, which has caused a fair amount of trouble in getting things out currently. I mean, I know we've had a couple of AX awards come in recently, and I didn't see anything about that from him. So I think we need to double check on how those are being handled. Okay, ready to move on? How am I doing for time? I'm about done. So
Yes, thank you.
okay. This screen that you're looking at is just absolutely invaluable to me. I can go in here, I get all the time, why am I in rear? This baby tells it all. The one thing that you have to go back and look for is the annual hours and annual requirements, because the system rolls over to current year on this right-hand side with the yellow and green. So you have to go back. I mean, and I literally go back and count hours physically in that member section. So in this section, I can go back and literally count hours. And if you go to view all, I just love this, because what it does is it lays it out by mission code. And that's how I'm always looking for mission code. For example, if I'm counting vessel safety checks. You know, what is the mission code? Okay. And I mean, and there are lots of tricks. This is a 25-minute discussion of hours and hours of knowledge, I guess you could say. Okay, we've talked about tasks. What is a task? Training workshops, classes, annual surface tasks, annual air tasks, coursework of any kind, FEMA courses, and basically FEMA courses have typically been entered by the DSOIS, me. I like to see a copy of it. Do I upload to the system? I do not. FEMA courses should be uploaded to the system. You can upload PQSs to the system. This is for the member to do their own file. But I don't do that. So, okay. What do I say here? If you get to a point in an activity log and you need to enter the task, stop. You can save the activity log, tell me the number, and I'll go in and finish it for you. Or your IS will. But don't try and enter it yourself. This is national policy, not made by Sue or Patty or Mark or anybody else. It's national policy because of the number of errors that occurred. Reports.
Sue, I'm going to stop you right there. You got 1 minute left, and there was someone used the Q&A section of Teams, which is awesome. So I'm going to interrupt you and ask
Sure.
this one question. What's the significance of the check mark under member tasks? If a member is missing the check mark, is there action required by the member?
Yes, exactly. There is. That's why we like to have our members check to make sure that that is there. Because if it's not there, it's not going to go in the system as complete. This is kind of an anomaly of Oxdata 2. As soon as a member, as soon as an IS person enters the task, it shows up. It doesn't have to be approved. So let's say the real world kicks into Sue Thurlow's life. I'm busy entering a task. The phone rings, or the dog needs to go outside, and I walk away. The task is going to show up, but the fact that the task is completed may not. And if it's not completed, it's not going to get you out of rear if that's what's required. Okay? Let me wrap this up by telling you that reports are a strong point of Oxdata 2. Extremely strong point. As a leader, it's very helpful if you know how to use them, how to find them, how to work with them. This is something that, if you're interested, we should have a training session on it, and we can do it any night, any evening after the 15th of April for you to learn more about this. I am in reports daily. I know Mark he's a report wizard. Jen is a report wizard. This is a very strong point to help you lead. And I really encourage you to ask for help on that. And I guess my time is up.
Thanks, Sue.
Sure.
And I know that this wasn't a long time to get things out there, but shoot, I think I learned about 5 new things just in this short amount of time.
Yes, we're just a font of knowledge here. One thing, Kathy, I'm going to try and look at this list that I made of people in the inbox and send you this little PowerPoint. So
That's great.
people who are in the room can know whether they want to ask questions or give me a kick in the butt.
You're up, Ray.
Did I put you to sleep, Ray?
Oh, no, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so it's probably going to be, I think, probably more of a question and answer period. I think.
We see and hear you, Ray.
Okay, I just put up the a form, Can you see this?
No, did you go to share and are you sharing the window?
I believe I did that, but apparently I didn't do it right. Let's see. Here we go. Is it up now?
Yep.
Got it.
Okay. So this is the form that I started this morning with our business meeting, and it's a multi-unit form. If you notice up on the right-hand side, we've got three sections to deal with. Flotilla, division, or district, and when you click on a particular unit, unit level, the officer information changes for the attendance. If we go to division, you'll see the division officers will fill in, and if we go to district, the district officers will fill in. So that's an important thing. Now, over on the left-hand side, the upper left-hand corner, the date of the form is January 2024. This is the latest form. It's the one that we should be using beginning this January. Up until then, the September form, and even there were some of the minutes that I had seen come in earlier were coming in on even some of the very obsolete forms, but I guess those will be accepted. I hope they will anyway. So we have several check boxes here that we can go ahead and we can fill them in. One of the things that I'm a little uncomfortable with is the fact that the check mark is to the right-hand side of the office. So as we check the DCO, it's to the right, and I'm used to having that stuff on the left. And I think also because of the placement of the box relative to the name, I associate the box with the name that goes on the right, and that's incorrect. Just as a warning point for those of you who might be filling out the box. We can go ahead and we can fill in. I'm not sure how many people we had present at the meeting. I'm going to say we had 33, and we had a quorum, so that's yes. The meeting location, in this case, it was virtual. So I really don't know what to put in there. I'm just going to put in virtual so that it's something is listed in it. You have to forgive my typing. I'm not that's not my forte, as you can tell. Anyway, there we are. And if you fill in the offices. When it comes to the DCDRs, you put in the number. In this case, okay, we had Division 16, we had Division 18, we had 20. Continue on down through the ranks, and Section 2 will contain any guests you had present. If there happen to be some offices that are not listed here, you can put them there if you'd like. And one of the features of the form also is you go to page 2, and on page 2, there's an area in the lower right-hand corner of the form to attach roll call, awards, presentations, stuff like that, the miscellaneous stuff, the finance report, and there are specific instructions on how to attach the forms. That would be not present on the well, let me go back here a second, back to the beginning. This is the 4-page. You see up in the upper right-hand corner, it says page 1 of 4. So this is a 4-page document. The 4-page document does not have the instructions. The instructions are contained on this form on its 6-page version, which you are asked not to use to fill in and submit, because some of the functionality has not been completed on the 6-page version. My suggestion would be download both versions, print off pages 5 and 6 from the 6 page, and at that point you can discard the 6 page as long as you've got pages 5 and 6 for your instructions. So it's the 4-page version that we need to have all of our members who are submitting the form to submit. Let's see, okay. We'll go on. We have a section here, the approval of the minutes of the last meeting. Now you'll notice here that, okay, the date on this form is for today's meeting. However, minutes of the last meeting were in January. So at that point, it's at the March meeting, this March meeting, that we are approving the minutes of the January meeting. Excuse me, I got a tickle on the throat. So as we approve the minutes, we put in who made the motion and did the second, and if they are approved or not, and if there are any adjustments to the minutes that would go into the section, would be typed into the section 3.
Ray, we have a question.
Okay.
James Simmerand.
So my question is, do you have to have Adobe license to use this form?
Excellent question, and the answer is yes. If you use the PDF program that comes with a browser or that's located somewhere else and it is not Adobe, chances are you will not get the functionality out of the form that the form was designed to deliver. And that's something that, yes, I probably should have brought that up first.
So just for clarification for everybody, I don't have Adobe. My work has Adobe. They have a corporate license. So I have to pay for it out of my pocket to have an Adobe license. And so the functionality does not work on the form. I have to cut and pay. I put everything in a Word document and then I cut and paste because, and I'm computer literate. So
Okay.
I try to think I am. So you might want to send out what the current license requirements are because Adobe right now has they have a lot of different licenses right now.
What you need is just Adobe Reader. And if you go into the Adobe site and download the Reader, just Acrobat Reader, it doesn't have to be the full Acrobat. It's just Adobe Reader and it's free. Download and install that onto your computer and that'll take care of it. It'll work that way. You do not need the $300 program from Adobe, the Acrobat, to fill out the form. And it was designed the form was designed to work with Adobe Reader, Acrobat Reader, just the Reader. So yeah, and there are instructions. There are instructions on the W Directorate website on where to find and how to download and install the program. And another point along that line too is when you go into either the Forms Warehouse or you go into the W Directorate website, you can download the forms from either of those. It is, excuse me a second. There are instructions on the W Directorate website on how to use that, but you need to download You need to download the program, download the forms, excuse me. You need to download the forms, save them to your computer, and then reopen them. And if you don't have Acrobat Reader set as your default program to open the PDFs, then you need to go into the computer and change that so that it is. Or in the case of a PC, you can right click on the program file, and it will ask you, what do you want to use to open the program, and you select Adobe Reader once you have it installed, and it'll open, and that will give you the full functionality. Now, there have been, excuse me, there have been some problems with.
Ray, could you put your microphone back to your cheek?
Yes, thank you. Sorry.
There we go.
There are some. Where was I here?
Talking about Adobe form and downloading the form and then opening it in Adobe. And do you want to mention about Mac users?
About what? Sorry.
About Mac users.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. The Mac users. That's right. That's where I was. There were some issues with people using Macs, and they thought it might have been the new M3 chip. If that was the case, I believe that may have been resolved. But there are also some issues. I understand people are having difficulty attaching the forms using the Apple products. In which case, there's on the W Directorate website there is an instruction for, besides downloading the program and the forms, there's also instructions on attaching to the Apple products. So I think I don't know. Are there any more questions along those lines? I'm sure that there have been a myriad of questions that have come up through the ranks from the secretaries or from those who have been trying to fill out the form and having difficulty. But oftentimes it's a matter of making sure that you actually download the correct form, the current form. Have Acrobat Reader installed on the computer and using that program to fill out the form. That's been, in so many cases, people have questioned me on or have mentioned that they couldn't get something to work. And when I work with them, chances are, following instructions, it worked. But a lot of that instruction is found on pages 5 and 6 of the 6-page document. And you really need to make sure that that is in front as you're doing the stuff, especially the first time. Okay, so let's see.
We do have one more question from Ron Blaisdell.
Okay, Ron. I'm listening.
Hey there, Ray. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, thanks, Ron.
Glad to hear that. I hope everything isn't as snowy there as it is here. The new versions of this form seem to come out with incredible regularity. Are they sending any notices out to the SR officers so that they know the form has changed?
That's a good question.
I mean, you're one of them. I would hope you'd know.
Would be, I know there were a couple of times I had started emails to go out to the SOs. I got sidetracked, and a couple of those emails never got sent. I checked recently. I happened to go into my draft file, and I thought, oh no, stuff didn't get sent. So that's one of the things that I've got to take care of within this next week or so, is to try to get those instructions out to people so that they are aware of it. I know there are some of the SOs that have received that instruction, but there's probably quite a few others that have not. So yeah, that's my fault on that.
Well, I would blame the W director, but that's another story, right?
Well, anyway,
Yeah, see, I would, yeah, I would, honestly, Ray, I think that that's a suggestion you should probably send up, because it would be simple for someone in W to just send an email out to anybody in the system that's SR, when that comes up. And we have another question, and
okay.
that's Monica Jankowski.
Hello, Monica.
You are still muted, Monica, or now you're, yeah. I see your hand, but you are muted. Still muted. Not sure what the issue is, Monica. Maybe type it in the Q&A box or in the chat, and we'll try to catch it. All right, Ray, why don't you go ahead and continue?
Okay. So let's go back here to section 3, and that's the approval of last minutes of the last meeting. I've gotten some forms in where the form is dated. We'll use this as an example. The form is dated 1/24, and it's actually got the date, the date of the meeting, and the date of the current form are the same. And the approval will lag about, well, one meeting length. In this case, you can see with this form that I've got up, that I've got started, is dated 3/22/24, which is today's date. But the approval for the minutes show the January meeting. So we're going to have a lag. We're going to have a lag before these should actually come up the chain. In the meantime, of course, the minutes have to go out. A draft form of the minutes, whatever you want to call it, has to go out to the members for them to read in order to approve. But the minutes should not go out until the meeting after, until the next meeting. It shouldn't go out. So January flotilla meeting, I shouldn't see the minutes come up through the chain until February, if the case, in the case of a unit meeting monthly. Okay, let's see here. Financial report. Financial reports typically do not need to be approved. What needs to be approved are any, let's say, a budget. If the budget needs to be approved, then those things will go in. Now, this form that was taken out. The approval section was taken out of this form on the last iteration. In which case, you'd type in the comments section. You would type in motion to approve budget, or whatever the case may be, or an expenditure that wasn't budgeted would need to be approved and included in the section. And in the case of a lot of information going through the system, in this space not big enough, there's a section here for continuation page. And the continuation pages are page 3 and 4 of the form. Here we go. Well, that's page 2, but here's page 3, which is continuation sheet, and page 4 is a continuation sheet. Okay, old business. Typically, it's stuff that had come up in the past and is being brought forward again. In the same way with new business. New business is stuff that's just been introduced. We need motions on it. Those are the issues. We get down here into section 7, and we see training topics. If let's say Sue Thurlow has given some instruction on the IS system, include that. If there's something, let's say there's an ops workshop, put that in. The reports, condensed version of reports, you can attach a reports document in this section at the lower right-hand corner of page 2. Trying to get reports condensed to section 8 and continuing on to one of the continuation pages is a pain in the butt. So try to get your officers to submit before a meeting and have someone compile those into a single document is the best way to handle it. All right. We have
Ray, I have a
motion.
question.
Yes.
When you run out of space in, let's say, the reports box, does it automatically roll over into a continuation sheet? Or do
No.
you have to, no, okay, so you have to stop where it visually ends on the form and then click into the next box and continue?
Yes, and
Okay.
of course the best thing to do if that happens is to start the continuation sheet with a note for that section is continued from the finance report on page 2, something like that.
Marine safety, Kim Cole, if you want to begin.
All right, so we are going to go over marine safety and what we can do in Ninth Central. We have a few missions that is available in Ninth Central. You've seen, if you look on the prevention webpage, you're going to see a lot of them, but this is all sector determined by their needs and wants. And right now in both sector Detroit and Northern Great Lakes, the biggest need and want that they are going to have is going to be the uninspected passenger vessel examiner, the UPV, or pollution responder. And these are things that we can work with our members on being able to earn that qualification. We also have 2 auxiliary qualifications, which is OXMES and OXMSAM. Now, if somebody is working towards the MPROPIN, these 4 would help you to be able to achieve that desire in the end. So I would always recommend that your members, if they are looking to be able to work towards this, to start off with MSAM. MSAM actually teaches you what the auxiliary does and what the Coast Guard does. And it explains to you how to work with the Coast Guard. OXMES will explain to you what the Coast Guard does. Now, 2 of the online courses that are available is MSEP, which is Introduction to Marine Safety Administrative Management. This particular course is online. You can find it on our prevention webpage. And it also counts as 2 points towards the OXUP device as well. And Good Mate is just a really good presentation to be able, especially to give to school children. I've known of different areas that have gone into schools and done that presentation. At this time, we have actually less than 10 UPV examiners in all of both sectors right now. So we have a great need for UPV examiners. We are working to increase that number up in MSU Duluth area. Commodore Thurlow and Ramon Krall are both working hard to get people be able to become qualified in in that area. Chris Stevens works with people in the Sector Detroit area, and Kathy Slayball is working to be able to get more down in Toledo. It's going to be moving slow. We realize that because if we try to do too many at one time, we found that just does not work. It's best to start slow and build up from there. Now, if you want to have a member that wants to become a UPV examiner, have them get a hold of any of the FSO MS or on up the chain, and we can find you a UPV examiner to work with on this. We have a lot of good resources and tools that's on the prevention webpage for them to be able to look at and to learn more about what is really involved. You'll see there is if you go to the actual Marine Safety tab, you'll see for a PQS sub-tab that is there. Under that sub-tab, all of the PQS workbooks that are available are listed under that sub-tab, and you can find where the UPV is and download that to be able to start working with that. Now, every sign-up that's done in one of these books has to be done by a verifying officer. A verifying officer is someone who holds that qualification. Or it can be active duty in certain circumstances as well. If you don't hold the qualification, not active duty or reservist with that particular qual, you cannot be sign off these items unless it's involved with the practical, and that's a little bit more involved, and we would talk more about that if someone was actually interested in doing it. The UPV, it does require 5 exams as a trainee as a minimum. We have 2 people down in MSU Toledo area right now that they're well on their way. They only have 2 more exams to finish to be able to go towards their oral boards. So we're hoping to be able to have 2 more within the next couple of months. The captain of the port is the one who would sign off what's called the letter of designation. A lot of people get confused when they hear PQS. PQS, all that is the training. That's not the qualification. You have to finish all the training, get everything completed in the PQS workbook. Once you get your letter of designation, that's when you become qualified in the subject. And a big thing, because this gets confused a lot, UPV exams are not part of the vessel examiner exams. There's a lot more involved with the UPV exams, and it can become confusing over which type of decal goes onto the boats. Biggest thing to remember is if they are going to take somebody out for hire, or they're going to receive some type of a compensation of some sort, that becomes UPV. You know, it could be in trade, it could be currency, whatever, but anytime that some type of compensation is involved, that makes it a UPV. So it needs to have a different type of exam done. The pollution responder, we are probably going to be offering this at Sector Detroit in a couple of months. We'll get a list out as we start determining which ones we're going to offer. We get a list out so everyone is aware of it. If you become a pollution responder, you would work with active duty or reservist. Same ideas. You have got to get the PQS workbook from the prevention website. Everything must be signed and dated by a VO. Absolutely nothing can be waived. If you're going to be working on something to earn the MPRO device or MPRO pin, all workbooks must be completed. You cannot waive anything unless it actually specifies in there that there's something that can be deferred. And if it specifies that, you have got to get a letter or email, something that can be attached to that workbook stating that the deferral was given on this item. The marine safety qualifications, the only person that can sign those letters of designation is the captain of the port. No one else is allowed to sign those letters of designation. And of course, once all the paperwork is done, or everything is completed in a workbook, that would all go to the DSOMS, and that would be verified and sent on up the chain to be able to get the letter of designation at that time. And what we do is we actually recommend to the captain of the port for the designation or the qualification. The captain of the port can actually make the final decision. These are 2 projects that we have going on right now that anybody can become involved with. Pollution Responder On-Call Team, we have a monthly calendar that we set up and send to the pollution response team at Sector Detroit. The people that are on this team, they would give their days and times throughout the month that they would be willing to be on call for Sector if a call was to come in. If you do get on this team and you say that you are available for that time, you need to be sure that you are available. Emergencies happen, and we are all aware of that. So if an emergency happened, if you were on the team, you would just simply contact somebody on the team to see about getting someone to cover your time for you. And of course, if you have any more questions on that, you can feel free to just reach out to me, send me an email, give me a call. I'll be glad to talk to you about that more. Not all areas have a on-call team, just to keep everyone aware. In Sector Northern Great Lakes, Randy Lawton has a team that he works with for pollution response. In Sector Detroit, I handle the calendar for Sector Detroit. And in MSU Duluth, it would be ADSOMS Ramon Crawl. Right now at this time, MSU Toledo does not have an on-call team that they use. That's not saying they might not in the future, but at this time they do not. We also have the pollution call tree. And that tree is any member in the auxiliary can be put on the pollution call tree that would like to be on it. What it is when we receive a call into Sector or MSU that of a suspected spill, the Coast Guard will pull up the map that has been made for this, and we have all the members who have said that they would be on this team on this map, so we know where they are all located at. And the Coast Guard would go to the area that the reported spill is in, and they would start calling down that tree until they find somebody who is available to go take a picture of it and send it back to them. That way they can determine if a full response is necessary or needed, or if it's something that we can take a look at and say that it's going to dissipate before anybody can get to it. This is being used to be able to save a lot of manpower time, monies. So many times that the Coast Guard gets called out on something that it's a minimal spill, and by the time they're able to respond, it's already is gone. So you've just got a lot of wasted time and energy for that. And same thing, if anyone is interested, please reach out to me and we will get you taken care of on that. The two auxiliary only qualifications are AUX-MES and AUX-MSAM. And keep in mind on those two qualifications, the only one who can sign these off is at our local Durox. Nobody else can sign these. Durox does a very good job of getting those signed and getting them back out to you very quickly. But you do have a PQS workbook on these, and to find somebody to work with on it, because you do have to work with a verifying officer on either one of them, go to your FSOMS and ask them if there's somebody in the area, or you can just simply go to the auxiliary directory and you will find the drop-down screen on the qualifications that's on that first page of the directory. In the drop-down screen, you find the qualification you're looking for, click on that, and then you can choose the area that you're in if you want it just to be in the one area, or you can leave that blank and hit search, and everybody's name that you have requested will come up, and you can be able to reach out to anyone at that time. You'll find out who actually has those qualifications. Difference with AUX-MSAM is that you also have got a section that you have to work on each chapter in the Moodle or the auxiliary training website. This has to be a part of this training along with the PQS workbook as well. It's a very good training tool. There's a lot of good information in that, but that also has to be completed. So you want to find a verifying officer first so you can discuss what you need to do where that is concerned.
About 5 minutes, Kim.
Okay. I think I'm just about wrapping it up. Sea Partners, for anyone who has never heard of Sea Partners, it's a great mission for your brand new member, your members who maybe can't do boat crew anymore. It's kind of hard getting on and off those boats after a while. This is a great mission that they can work on. It's talking to young people with fishing groups, different organizations on water pollution. It does often get mistaken for a PA event, so the mission code gets fuzzy. But if you're working a Sea Partner event, you always want to use the mission code of 770N. And that is it. If there's any other questions or any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
The only comment I'm going to add, Kim, is based on some recent experience is please, everybody, if you are training in the MS area, save a copy of your workbooks or the original and send a copy when you're sending it up the chain. And second of all, scan into your computer or whatever is best for you to keep track a copy of your workbook and your letters of designation. So that you are able to retrieve those as it turns out, and I'm not criticizing here, those can be
Hi, Jen.
forgotten, misplaced, and lost.
Let me mute this.
Yes, you're correct. Never send the original. Always send a copy or scan copy. Also, I accept the training record on a lot of the items that you need to have in there. If you have on the training record where you've done your ICS courses that are required or the MSEP for Good Mate, you can print out a copy of that training record. The only people that can put stuff into your training records like that is going to be your IS officer. So you have to have had those completed in order for that to be there.
I'm not seeing any other questions, so we'll move on to culinary. Thanks, Kim, for your
Yes.
presentation. Very informative. We'll move on to culinary assistant. Deborah Kerr, you're on.
Okay. Obviously, this is culinary, so we'll go through this somewhat fast. These are the goal of the culinary. For culinary, support the Coast Guard on auxiliary in emergencies, demonstrate the diversity and importance of the auxiliary, provide assistance at the Coast Guard and auxiliary VIP special events, add to the auxiliary activities to improve recruiting and retention, and improve the morale of the active duty, receive culinary specialist CS at small boat stations and our cutters so they can take leave, etc. And just provide CA training. Okay, what is a CA? A CA specialists are trained by certified OCCA instructors and are U.S. Coast Guard active duty culinary specialists, CS2 and above, using approved program guides. To become an OCCA1 is short. Well, why become is because we are short of active duty and auxiliaries to fill the positions working in the Coast Guard galleys ashore are underway. This is required of the OX program, completion of Introduction to Risk Management, ICS 1700, current and OX CT, interview by the approved to train by the assigned SOCA or DSCA, complete medical screening and first HEPA shot, complete the basic OXCA course with a minimum of 18 hours of instruction, including a sanitation workshop. And in order to completely be qualified, you do need to be BQ qualified. And what is required to be an OXCA continued, complete the personal qualification standards, PQS sign-offs, must be completed within the 12 months after you start your course. Forward application to the DSOCA for direct approval. Complete the second HEPA shot within 6 to 12 months after the first vaccine. Must be physically and mentally able to handle the duty. Refer to the OXCA SOP for health requirements. So there's different requirements for regular galley versus of going on a cutter. Benefits of the OX program to the auxiliary: it helps with recruiting and retention, improves members' new tasks and skills, provides good public relations, demonstrates the diversity and capabilities of the auxiliary to the active duty, and enhances their mission readiness and execution, relieves active duty for other skills and training, improves morale and well-being of active duty. Okay, duties of the OXCA: under the supervision of the food service officer or qualified OXCA will on very few occasions assist with shopping. We cannot use the Coast Guard credit card. We prepare and serve meals, and there is some cleanup sometimes. OXCA not yet qualified must work with a unit CS and are qualified OXCA. What CAs do, they assist the Coast Guard with many activities. They augment at stations and are covered by filling in for the CS, help with change of commands, morale picnics, other VIP flag events, provide support services and emergencies, and assist with Coast Guard auxiliary events. How do you maintain currency? The OXCA certification is divided into 2 tiers, OXCA 1 and OXCA 2. For OXCA 1, a minimum of 12 hours per year working in support of the Coast Guard is required. Completion of annual training workshop is required. Time spent in auxiliary events will not count towards the 12-hour minimum. For OXCA 2, there is no minimum hour required. OXCA 2 cannot support the Coast Guard. The completion of annual workshop is required. How do I record my OXCA time? During the OXCA basic course, the OXCA candidate will be instructed on how to enter their time in OX data 2. And here's just a couple of pictures of support, either whether it's a VIP as in the one picture, or just on a cutter, or regular just classes. As you can see, a couple of our members there. And then and that was a change of command also. And you fill in for the CS on training, dockside or underway. Larger vessels assist with the CA team. Assignment to duty is required. Minimum of 40 hours of career CA1 time is required prior to being on a cutter. Okay, other duties is just as in picnics, changes of watches, community events, holiday parties, and anything in emergencies. Just a couple little pictures of some of them in action. Uniforms. ODUs are the usual uniforms. Unit may specify an alternate uniform with ball cap and just the member's device on it. For VIP events, the uniform usually is a white chef's coat, black pants, and black shoes. And that's outlined in the Ox Band section, blah, blah, blah. Make it quick and easy. The quicker you let it go the old ways, the sooner you can enjoy the new. This is just on the resources, and you can download those. And any questions? Kind of went through that fast, but does anybody have any questions on this?
It was so thorough, Deb, they don't have any questions.
Okay, well, when in doubt,
Oh, Steve.
Yeah, hi. This is Steve up in the Northwest here. Could you possibly provide that PowerPoint? I think we've got a couple people in training, and it's nice to use it to let people know what is expected of them. And there certainly is a need. We have a cutter with a commander waiting for somebody to come forward, and we've got 2 people in training already. Thank you.
yeah, it is actually on the part of the website. I kind of redid it a little bit, but yes, I can send it to you.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Okay, thank you. I guess that's it.
Thank you, Deb. That was wonderful presentation. We'll move on to operations. So rather than getting crunched for Tom, you have a lot of time. You're up.
Okay, a short slideshow. I just want to go what's on the response directorate. And I'm starting off with Surface Division, which is up towards the top of the column on the left side. I don't remember if you have to log in or not. I don't think you do to get into the Surface Division. In fact, I know you don't. There's not a little circle with a line through it. So that's the first page of the response directorate. And if you look, there are 3 things you get into: Surface Home, Surface News, or Boat Crude and QE resources. So that's what we want to look at here today. There are 5 little files that you can open, and has all kinds of information in it. And the first one I want to go to is the standardized drill sheets. And we have drill sheets. And the purpose of them is so that as we're training, and especially when we're training, they were all training to the same standard, I think, which is important, which should help us out as we have our QE check rides. And if we have to get into a session where we have to do something, perhaps for a boater in distress or whatever. So we're going to be looking for onboard fire, grounding, MOB, which is man overboard, navigation, search patterns, drifting, which is the Victor Sierra and expanding square, and search patterns precisions, which tend to be the sure, it's gone, but the all I can think is non-return. Anyways, they're there, they're listed, and towing. And what I did was I took grounding, and the reason I took that, not because I want to see anybody run aground, is it's one of the list that is only one page, so you can get a brief idea of what you have to do. Coxswain refers to coxswain. BCM is the boat crew member. Again, this is coming from active duty, so that would be a boat crew member. So coxswain would be the coxswain on the boat, and BCM would be a person that is crew qualified. So that's what we'd have to do for grounding. The other one I want to go to is boat crew resources. And there is the Auxiliary Boat Crew Qualification Handbook and the Auxiliary Boat Crew Training Handbook. And those are new as of February, and they're the last part of the designation is decimal 51C or decimal 52C. And you want to make sure that you're using the latest version. Again, they came out February 2024. And for people that are that had started qualification last year, they have to take all their tasks that were done last year, move them into the tasks of the new books, get those dates and sign-offs in there, including the inspector, including the auxiliarist who is the mentor, signing off those sheets into the new manual, which is a lot of paperwork. Sounds like busy time, but there may be an addition to an area that you had completed, and now there's another task in that particular sign off that you have to have done. So make sure you're using the right manual. And there's down here, there's an answer guide for crew, the study guide, and for coxswain, the study guide. I have a report from one person before these came out, spent 16 hours going through looking for the answers to the questions that either a person wanting to be crew or wanting to be coxswain had to answer to help them with their sign-offs. I know I spent a lot of time doing that when it came out, and I think I almost filled up a notebook with those answers. Now there's a guide there, so that can help. And there's the Auxiliary Boat Crew Qualification Handbook. It is ABQH 16794 decimal 52C as in Charlie, February 2024. That is the sign-off book, okay? And it's divided into sign-offs for crew, coxswain, and personal watercraft operator of all the tasks that need to be done. And this is the Auxiliary Training Handbook, ATH 16794 decimal 51C. This points out a lot of the requirements that one person needs to do to stay current. Also has the sign off or the enclosure 4, 5, or 6, which is the sheet for the annual task. I would use it out of this one to make sure you're using the current task sign-off sheet or the task submission sheet. Very good to look at what is required for a person to maintain currency for crew, coxswain, or PW operators. Some of the requirements have changed. Some are a little easier. Some have additional items in there. So please use the current books. They're designated with letter C, Charlie, and came out in February 2024. And
I've got a question.
Okay.
Since the new manual came out in February of 2024, can you refresh my memory? How long are previous manuals grandfathered in to complete for crew training?
This is not. There's not. You're not. If you were working on it before the handbooks came out, you could use that until the end of 2023. At which point you had to be using the. At that time, beginning of 2024, it was decimal 52 Bravo, and then in February it came out 52 Charlie. So, does that answer your question?
Oh, I think maybe it did when you were. I was thinking about the PQS, I was thinking about maybe the PQS being outdated and not the manuals, but maybe that's a different question. I was just thinking about somebody who had completed tasks prior to these coming out, if there were new tasks, and what the time period is for grandfathering that in.
If you started
Looks like that.
if you started working on crew
Jim,
in 2023, you transfer all those tasks into the new handbook that came out in February, and then continue on.
oh, gotcha. Okay, now I'm with it. Jim Vinegar has a question.
Okay, Jim.
Tom, do you got those where you can email them and I could download them, take them up, and get them printed?
Yeah, they're available if you go back to the Surface, the response directorate under boat crew resources. They're in yellow, auxiliary boat crew qualification handbook and boat crew qualification training handbook.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
If you're working on crew, then yes, you ought to print the boat crew qualification handbook and the boat crew training handbook.
Well,
But
I have the training. I think it's the training handbook. I don't have the qualification, the newest qualification.
Do you have
We're going. There's 3 of us going to that boat crew academy up there in Charlevoix, and so the training up there. So they may have them already, but I'd like to have them ahead of time.
No, you really need to have them ahead of the time, because you have to go up there with those sign-off sheets done. They're looking to have all the ashore qualification sign-offs done in order to have a chance of becoming crew qualified through that boat crew workshop or session in Charlevoix.
Oh,
So
well, I did not know that.
Yes,
Well,
whatever you have done.
I don't have the sign-offs yet. I thought they walked you through those while you were up there.
No.
Because they have a check on the or when you sign up, whether you're brand new or not, and you need to check that. If you're not, they put you in a different group.
But your chance of completing your boat crew qualification is not very good if you don't have the ashore sign-offs completed when you go to the boat camp.
Okay.
Okay. So, but if you have sign-offs from that you started last year, get them put into the new handbook and take the new handbook with you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Tom?
Yes.
It's Sue here. I've attended that boat camp several times. They do a terrific job in working with people toward getting their sign-offs. I'm not saying that they're going to get everybody signed off on everything in that one weekend, and I agree with you. The more you have signed off ahead of time, the better. But they do work with members to get them farther along than they were when they got there. And since it's 3 days, they start on Friday. I've worked with people up there, and it's pretty good. Yeah. So
I'm sure it is, but the word that came out was, if you don't come up with your ashore sign-offs done, your chance of qualifying for a boat crew is not very good, because they're really gearing towards getting you underway. So in order to get underway, they want to see all the ashore things done. That's the word that came down from
Glenn?
Is it Linda that put
Glenn
the
and
first?
Glenn and
Yeah.
Linda.
Yes.
Okay, that's news to me, but that's good to know.
Okay. Any other questions on that little blurb I did? Some other things, we are going to have a busy season, I think, this year, helping stations. We do have 3 stations that are really looking for help for patrols, and that is Saginaw River, St. Clair Shores, and Toledo. And it appears that Saginaw River and St. Clair Shores are pretty well set in working with the stations and getting things lined up. I'm getting reports that that's going on. Toledo's another story. They're having a little opportunity with personal locator beacons that are due to expire in May, and they're anxiously awaiting some PLBs, and it's not sure if they'll get there in time for May, but hopefully that will get resolved. From locally down here, the Marblehead area has expanded. The AOR has expanded from, we used to stop at Davis Bessie's, now going all the ways to the west end of Lake Erie. And that's going to add to the end of West Erie is another hour to get there. So to get to probably Davis Bessie, you're probably looking at 45 minutes to an hour. So it's probably going to be close to an hour and a half, 2 hours to get to a SAR case in the west end of Lake Erie. Other stations are losing assets. Some stations that used to be 2 boat stations, meaning that they had 2 duty crews on the weekends from Memorial Day to Labor Day. They're now going to have 1 ready crew. So they could be using auxiliaries for perhaps being on patrol on weekends and to handle search and rescue cases. Also, they may need a platform for training for towing exercises for active duty. So the bottom line is have your auxiliary unit coordinator work with the station. And if you don't have an auxiliary unit coordinator, I would suggest that your flotilla FSOOP, flotilla staff officer for operations, work with the station. I don't think you'd want to bombard the station with a number of different people trying to work things out, but use one person talking to the Oxlow and get things worked out of when they need help for boat crew. The other one is watchstanding, because every time that you have a watchstander, a qualified watchstander, auxiliarist watchstander at the Coast Guard station, they have just freed up a active duty person to be doing either training or a part of a search and rescue team, whatever. So watchstanding is also a good way to help the stations as everybody goes through this reduced people in the Coast Guard. And gear inspections are coming up, and I'm asking everybody as you go through gear inspections, especially personal locator beacons, please make sure that the OX data is complete through inspected, issued, and signed for. I'm finding cases where people have gear, never been signed for. It's not correct. So as you're going through your gear inspection, take a look at OX data too. If it's not signed for, please get it signed for so the record is complete. And any questions? Because that's all I have. I want to thank you for the time, and let's have a safe operation season, and we can go from there.
Thank you for your presentation, Tom. That was excellent.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions for any of the presenters, the rest of the hour is yours.